You are going to be called upon. If you are asked to raise your hand, you can find that in the toolbar. You may have to look under more because the toolbar can get crowded depending on the size of your monitor. So find the raise hand feature, familiarize yourself with it. So when you're called upon to raise your hand, you can do so with ease. And here's one of the side benefits for a host like Brenda. It keeps people in the order in which they raise their hand. So don't worry, you'll be called upon in the order in which you raised your hand. Now, we're also going to be using questions. If you have a question for Brenda, you can write that in the chat. Proceed it with the word question. That way it stands out and is easier to capture. So there are instructions on that in the chat as well. And if you miss anything, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Brenda Meller's YouTube channel. There are a wealth of resources located there. Avail yourself of them. Brenda.
I feel like I should pay Christopher after that. Like, don't you all feel like we should pay him for that? Christopher, do you don't have like a site like a buy me a coffee? Have you heard about these links where you can like send somebody $5 to buy them a
Oh,
cup of coffee? Do you
yes,
have one of those set up yet?
I I do like coffee, and that sounds like a great idea.
Do you have one set up yet?
No,
Okay,
I have to look into that.
I'm going to search for my page and put it into chat so you can look at it and you can get one set up because you should be dropping, I should be buying you a cup of coffee. I mean, at minimum, I should be buying you a cup of coffee. More importantly, for all of you who are on the call today, I want to encourage you, if you have the opportunity to do business with Christopher, to send business to Christopher, that would be even better because he is so kind as to every time he comes on these calls, he's just such a great introduction. He's volunteering his time. He's donating his time month after month for us, which is a really great segue because we're going to start to do some introductions. My name is Brenda Meller. I am your host for the call today. I'll tell you a little bit more about me at the end of the other All-Star introductions, but I do want to start with Christopher. So, Christopher, can you come on camera? Tell us a bit about yourself and your business, and then I'm going to start to pull people one at a time. So when you see you're next, that means you're next. It'll be how it goes. And we're going to do this for the Career Strategy All Stars. Those people that are supportive of the job seeking community, you know who you are. And a little bit later in the call, we'll ask for some introductions from the job seekers as well. But we'll start off with you, Christopher. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Christopher Johnson. I'm located in metropolitan Detroit. And the name of my company is Calm Clear Media. The QR code right here is a link to my LinkedIn profile. So if we're not connected, feel free to reach out and connect. What I do is produce virtual events for organizations like Feeding America or California WIC, or speakers, trainers, and authors so they can focus on their message and not worry about the tech headache. So I'll put my contact information again in the chat. And every month I offer a free office hours. So if you have questions about Zoom or streaming, that's the place where you can go and get those things, those queries answered. Diana.
Thank you, Christopher. And Christopher is going to be working with me next week, helping out on my Job Seeker Friday, Fresh Fridays support group. I'm Diana Stevens, and I'm the founder of Mindful Job Alignment, where I combine mindfulness with the traditional tactics of job search. I have a job seeker group as well. It will be next Friday. And Brenda will be our featured guest, where we will be talking about all things LinkedIn for job seekers. I will put all my information in the chat. Please do connect with me, and please also register for our free group next Friday. And I have some surprises in store for another event at the end of the month, which you will hear about next Friday at my job seeker group. So look forward to meeting all of you and really glad to be here. Thank you.
Hey,
Kenneth.
yes. Yeah, yes. I'm sorry. I just had to unmute myself. Kenneth Lang here, Wayne, New Jersey. I want to thank everyone for being here today, all of my fellow co-hosts and all of you on the call. I am a lead Harrison brand specialist, which I've been doing for, can't believe it, 2 years now. What I'm happy to announce in the next week or so is the My Networking Central, which is my passion project list of events and speakers. We're actually doing a relaunch. It's been a long time in the making, and I'm looking forward to reaching out to a lot of you that are speakers and a lot of you that have groups to actually update your information, and so we can really, really hit the ground running. This has been a very challenging week for me, actually. It was a week ago when my uncle passed away. So just now getting up to speed, but I appreciate everyone's support. And I actually did a post today. 17 years ago today, I lost my job, my last job, and posted about it because I think it's very important to have people understand what the journey is like. So Brenda, thank you very much for this group. And I'll put my information in the chat and passing it on to Mindy now.
Give me a second
Thank
here.
you, Krista. Thank you so much, Kenneth. I am so pleased to be here with you guys today, and you should know that all of our hearts are with you. If you are looking for a job, we have probably all been in that situation, and we are here to help you, answer questions for you. It can be a very lonely path, but one thing that you can do for yourself is to be part of an amazing group like this, where we have support, where you have people who are in the same situation as you, and people who have already been there and can help you get to the next side. I offer a monthly job seeker group, and it's called the Accelerator Group. We have a private group on LinkedIn. You are welcome to join my group. And this month, next Tuesday, we have I'll point this way, Paul Sakala is coming to speak to us about crafting success stories to ace your interview. And what does that mean? When you're interviewing, you need to be able to articulate what you've done, what value you can provide, and you have to do it in a way that helps you stand out from everyone else who's interviewing for those jobs. So if you're interested in doing that and joining us, it is free. It is on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and Paul will be joining us. I will put all the information in the chat so you can click the link right from there. We have looks like about 81 people so far registered. So we have room for 100, and we'd love to see you there. Happy to connect with anyone who's on here and answer any questions. And I'm passing it over to Paul this way.
And thank you, Mindy. And I'm so excited to join you next week. I hope the rest of you feel the excitement and join us as well. My name is Paul Sakala. I am known as the Project Planning Career Coach. And so I've got a process where we'll help you with where do you need to go from what do I want to be when I grow up all the way through acing the interview. And it's a step-by-step actionable process. And you can find it in my book, Take Control of Your Job Search. So looking forward to helping you all and be here. It's exciting to be a part of this group. Brenda is wonderful, and it's great to be one of the experts to help you all out. I just put my contact information in the chat, so if you're interested, reach out. And now I think we're going to Sue.
Yes, thanks, Paul. And thanks, Brenda, for our expanded title. I love being a career strategy all-star. Thank you for that when you posted it last week. I am Sue Griffey. I'm known as Sue Mentors in the virtual world, and I'm also the mentor with pom-poms. You'll see me bring these out for celebrating big and small wins. I have a global mentoring practice with professionals at all levels of transition. So I'm more likely to represent in this discussion things that I know work on a global scale, but also am able to talk to all of you about what I'm best known for. Show me the evidence. And that should help you get to Paul's success stories that he's going to be presenting on. So come talk to me about finding the evidence. Some of you have taken my free 4 steps in 5 weeks professional presence course, or just reach out to me. I'll put my info in the chat box again. Now on to Joey, the other person in red today among the All-Stars. Thanks very much, Brenda.
Thanks, Sue. Good morning, all. I'm Joey Himmelfarb. I am an author and a speaker. I have been speaking to unemployed professionals for the last 2+ decades. I wrote a book about how to sell yourself in the job market. I've taken what I've learned about selling and translated it to you folks. So if you're a job seeker, you really are a salesperson. And my book highlights how to do that. I'm on these calls to network with everybody and offer lend a hand to make sure that you're positive and upbeat, because your mindset is 99% of your ability to find work. So if I hear you going down a rat hole or a dark side, I may chime in. As a true blue New Yorker, I have a couple of opinions, and sometimes I don't like to keep them to myself. Linda, up to you.
Thanks, Joey. Happy to join you all today. Although I know that you know none of you want to be here, but our goal for all of us is to help you find that next forever job. Now, we all have different approaches and different opinions, but the idea is that learning from all of us and from each other will help you to put your information together to get everybody out there and do what's best for you. The goal that I have is for you not only to find that next forever job, but to hire your next boss, your next company, to remind you that you have some things that you can control and you need to do that. I've been a career coach now for almost 8 years. And before that, I have over 20 years of experience as an HR business partner, a hiring manager, a recruiter, and what we used to call a headhunter or an executive search consultant. So I bring people information from all sides of that recruiting desk. My skill set as a coach is to help you discover what you really like to do, what your skills are, and then how you can best leverage those skills for the job you want, whether it's in your industry or another one, whether you're making a career move or trying to stay in your lane. That's who I am, and I'm happy to be here.
Brenda, we can't hear you.
Can hear you, Brenda.
Well, that was awkward. I'm glad I did this amongst friends so I don't have to be embarrassed, right? And a good reminder to check your microphone, and also a good reminder that your friends will tell you if you have spinach on your teeth. Your friends will tell you if your microphone is muted. Your friends will jump in if you're having technical issues and you need some help. And we have created in these calls a community. So I want to welcome you again. My name is Brenda Meller. I'm your host. This is a monthly event that we do. I call this Friday Job Seeker Office Hours. And I want to give you some reminders as we are getting started with the call here today. First, this call is being recorded. It is being broadcast out to YouTube. If you're working but looking and you don't want other people to know that you're on the call, you may just want to hide your video, and you could even rename yourself. If you click on your panel where you see your photo in the upper right-hand corner, the 3 little dots, you can click on rename, and you can just go by Sue instead of Sue Griffey, for example. So that way it protects your anonymity. I said that right, I think. The other thing is, please do keep yourself muted unless we call on you. In a virtual platform like Zoom, there's like one microphone and we have to pass it around so everybody gets a chance so we're not talking over each other. I do ask also that you use the raise hand function if you have a question that you'd like to ask, if you'd like to contribute to the conversation. If you're not super savvy on Zoom, that's okay. We'll be using the chat pretty liberally, I want to say, throughout our session here today. We'll be putting our questions in here. We'll be responding to questions in there. And I also want you to introduce yourself. If you've not already done so, I want you to go into the chat right now. And this is really important for you to know. This is something we do in every one of our calls, and I want you to do it in every call you go on from this point forward. You don't need to say Brenda Meller, because Zoom will say Brenda Meller to everyone. So just go into your introduction and say, I am seeking a job title, marketing director position in area, Metro Detroit or fully remote. So let people know your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and then please put in your LinkedIn URL, including the full HTTPS. That way it's blue and it's clickable. We can click on it in the call, visit your profile, invite you to connect. So I want to encourage all of you, this is something you should do. The good thing is if you do it once, if you've typed it out the first time today in the call, what I would recommend that you do is copy it and then paste it someplace on your laptop, like in a Word document or maybe a text notepad thing. That way, the next time you're on a call, you can just go and copy and paste it and put it in there. This is a really great way of helping you to expand your network. You never know when you're going to come across somebody who is looking to hire an IT person in New Jersey, and we just heard about Jim on the phone call today, right? Related to that, I want to encourage you to not only drop your introduction in, but I want to encourage you to read through introductions for other job seekers in the chat, because you never know where the future may lead. You never know when you're going to come across a position that you can refer someone in. And related to that, I call this our Friday Job Seeker Office Hours. When you were working in whatever organization you were working in, you were part of a team, right? And then all of a sudden that rug was pulled out from under you. You're no longer part of a team. Like, what happened? Like the day before I was helping out Paul and Joey and Linda and Drew, and then I got called into that conference room by HR or on a Zoom call or whatever, always on a Friday, right? And told your positions is being eliminated and we're going to walk you out of the office like a criminal with a cardboard box, right? And your world turns upside down. And what happened to your friends? And a lot of times your work friends don't reach out to you. I think sometimes it's survivor's guilt. They feel bad about what happened to you. Other times they don't know if they should, fraternize with the enemy, so to speak. Like yesterday, I was your friend. I was your BFF at work. What happened? So I want you to know you're not alone in the process. We've created a community here of job seekers. And on today's call, we have almost 60 people that you can network with. As you're looking through the attendee list, I want you to pay attention to who is with us in on the call here today. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to look through the list and say good morning to all of you. So good morning to Kenneth, Christopher, Mindy, Sue, Alex, Amy, Anna, Belle, Bridget, Christine, Daniel, David M, and David S. We have Debbie, Diana, Diane, Drew, Eileen, Glenda, Heidi, Jerry, nice to see you again. We have Jill, Jim, Joan, Joey, John, nice to see you. Judy, Julie, Karen, Katie, Lena, I apologize. Linda, Lisa, Mara, or is it Mara? Marianne, Melissa, Michelle, Mike, Nancy, nice to see you. Paul, Ray, Rodrigo, Roseanne, Sandra C, Sandra R, Sandra W. We've got Club Sandra in the house here today. Sanjeev, Scott, nice to see you again. Shannon, Sharon, Stacy, Stephanie, Stephen, Vic the Pie Man, Wendy, and David. I want you to know I see you in the room here today. If there are job seekers that you've normally seen in on the call and we haven't seen them in a while, I want to encourage you to reach out to them and say, hey, Sharon, notice you weren't on the Friday office hours today. How's your job search going? Maybe they're not on here because they're back to work, and that's the goal. We don't want to see you on these calls, not because we don't like you, because we want you to get back to work. But I want you to know this is a place that you can come on the first Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern, where you have a community of fellow job seekers that you can network with and you can connect with, you can refer opportunities to each other, maybe even find an accountability partner, somebody that you can check in with once a week on your job search, and you can help to support each other. What else? This will go on YouTube. I did drop the link inside the chat if you want to watch the playback later, because we will move pretty quickly. There may be some tips and techniques that we're going to share with all of you today that you want to review again. So if I were you, visit that YouTube link, subscribe to my channel so that way you get notified about future LinkedIn tips and things that I will drop in there, but then also watch that playback if you'd like. We also have a private unlisted group on LinkedIn. I'm going to drop that link into the chat right now. And I want to encourage you, if you're not already a part of this group, to join that on LinkedIn. I think we're coming up on 1,000 members of the group, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a really great group for sharing resources. Whenever I see job postings from people in my network, I will share them inside the group. I'm going to share this on screen right now so you all can see this. And I will also, when I think about it, I'll go into the group on Fridays and I'll share the Zoom link. If I haven't done so already, but I don't see anybody in here right now saying I can't get in, so we're in good shape. But this group also acts as our flagpole outside the house, so to speak. So remember when we were in school and they would teach you fire drills and all these things, and they would say you should also do a fire drill at home with your family. And part of what they taught you to do was to have a place outside the house that you can all meet at, right? And not on your property, because if there's a fire, there's fire trucks and people going in and out. So it would always be like the stop sign at the end of the street or the flagpole outside. So this group is our flagpole, if you will. So if you need help, if you need resources, maybe you come across a job opportunity and you say, I can't remember the name of that person. Someone inside the group can help you to find that. You can also share job seeker resources inside here, and whether they're LinkedIn webinars, they're networking groups from others, videos that can help, blogs about job search or salary negotiation tips, whatever you'd like, share it inside the group. Look at this. We're at 999 members. One more person needs to join so I can celebrate 1,000 members in the group. We're like on the verge of getting to 1,000. Very exciting inside here. So be sure to join that group. Use this group to communicate with each other in between the calls. I pretty much just show up on the call here. So if you're not able to download the chat, you can ask somebody on the Zoom call, can you share the chat inside the group on LinkedIn? So someone can post it and share it inside there. So a lot of ways that we are using the group on here. Okay, next up, I want to see who is new and joining us for the very first time. If you're new, I want you to go in chat and type in the word new right now, N-E-W. I'm going to call on two people to introduce themselves, and I will just ask you briefly to share with us your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and how you heard about the group. All right, so Sandra and Mary Ann, I saw both of you drop your new into chat. So I'm going to add Sandra up on screen first, and then Mary Ann, you will be on deck with us. So Sandra, if you could tell us your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and how did you hear about this group?
Thanks, Brenda. My targeted role is channel or partner marketing director or senior director in the technology space. So I've worked for many different sized organizations, built channel programs from scratch 4 times. So have lots of great experience in that. Although I live in the Greater Toronto area, all the roles that I've had have really been global. So I am been doing remote work for a very long time. So happy to continue to do remote work. So director of channel marketing in technology, hybrid or remote roles. How I heard about you was just for searching on LinkedIn for different resources and supports.
Wonderful. Well, we're so glad you found us, and thank you so much for introducing yourself. I'm in Michigan, so we're not too far away from each other over here too. So nice to see you. Thank you so much. All right, Mary Ann, could you please unmute yourself and tell us your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and how did you hear about us?
Hi, I'm Marianne. I heard about you through Linda Brubaker's Lunch and Learn group. And as if you couldn't tell, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, hence the Golden Gate Bridge. It is pouring rain this morning. Pouring, pouring, pouring. My targeted job title is Global Immigration and Mobility Manager. And what was the other question? I'm sorry, I forgot.
How did you hear about us?
Through Linda Brubaker's Lunch
I'm
and
sorry.
Learn group.
Targeted job title, targeted geographic area, and obviously San Francisco, I think, is your area that you're looking for.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Wonderful.
could do remote. My last
Yeah.
role was 100% remote. The company was based outside of Boston.
Mhm.
And I thought I would hate it, but I loved it because my previous job before that, I had an hour-and-a-half commute each way, and I hated that. So
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
all about using technological resources to get where we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, thank you so much for that, Marian. I think there's so much that's changed, over the past few years where people realize, gosh, we have to figure out a way to work from home during the pandemic. And then organizations figured out we're just as productive and maybe even more so because our employees aren't having to commute for 30 minutes an hour or more one way back and forth. Other organizations are doing the return to work, to each his own, I guess, if you will, there, but there's still a lot of remote opportunities that are out there. So thank you to those of you for introducing, and for everyone new to the group. We're delighted to have you. All right, so now
I
what
want to
we're going
give
to do
you
is we're going to
kudos,
move.
Brenda, because you are a supreme motivator. You're just
Aw.
so positive and upbeat.
Oh, thank you. I try. I gotta make this fun for all of you because I know it's not a place that you want to be. You don't want to be in career transition. You probably really don't want to be here. You'd rather be back to work. But while you are in career transition, I want to make this a place that you can come to. My goal is that by the end of the call, you'll have smiled, maybe you'll have laughed, you'll feel inspired, and you also will feel the sense of community that you're not alone in on the process. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move into Q&A and success stories. And what I'd like you to do is if you have a question, I want you to go into the chat right now and type in the word question followed by the question. And I'm going to type in my standard question, which is, this is just an example, question, do you like coffee? So that's how I want you to write it in chat. Question in all caps followed by the question. If you have a success story, just type in the word success in chat. And we're going to call on you and we're going to go back and forth between questions and success stories if we have a little bit of both. A success could be, this is my last call. I've got a job. See ya, right? It could be, I got an interview this week. It could be, I have 2 offers I'm working with right now. It could be, I followed your advice, Sue or Diana or, any of the All-Stars, Kenneth, myself, Paul, and I'm getting more interviews. My resume is getting positive feedback. I'm being noticed on LinkedIn by recruiters. Maybe you're a part of one of my programs. I see some Level Up and some bootcamp members in here, and you're getting some really good traction and you're building up your confidence. Let us know about that as well. So anything that you deem to be a success on the path towards getting a job, we want to hear about it because I think there needs to be more positivity in the world. All right, with that said, I'm going to look through the chat and see, I think I saw a question come in here earlier, and I will ask you to unmute yourself. Christopher, I'm going to have you help me out with this process too, of bringing them up on Spotlight as soon as I can find their names. We've got a very lively chat. Okay, Sandra Ragoza has a question. Someone wants to endorse me for my skills on my LinkedIn profile and is unable to do so. Sandra, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm unmuted.
All right, I think I found her, Christopher. I'm good. Okay, so are you connected with this person on LinkedIn?
Yes, first level.
And they're going to your profile and they're saying they can't endorse you?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to make sure it's not anything with your endorsement settings. Are you able to share your LinkedIn URL into the chat right now, Sandra? Because I'm going to go to your profile and see if I can endorse you for skills. There's a couple things I'm thinking of on here. One is I think there's a way that you can limit getting endorsements because I've seen people doing this. I don't think that's the case with you. That's why I'm asking you to share your link in chat because I'm going to try to endorse you. The other is the person might be thinking of recommendations versus endorsements. Without having them in the call with us here today, it's a little bit difficult to figure out that part of it. Okay, so you just shared your link in the chat. I'm going to share your profile up on screen here. And by the way, nice to see you, Sandra. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Brenda. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to be here. And just to clarify, I've already had a conversation with the person who wants to endorse my skills. And it's endorsing versus a recommendation.
Okay.
So we've already clarified that.
Okay, so I'm on your profile right now. I am not seeing the endorse button. I'm going to scroll up to the top just to double check. Yes, we are first level connections. So there may be something in your settings where you have accidentally turned off the ability to endorse. Kenneth Lang, are you on the call and do you know where that setting is off the top of your head? If not, I'm going to check it and come back to this question.
Offhand, I don't. I have a feeling you're right about that because I have had similar issues working with other people. I usually just go to searching the same way you are right now.
Yeah.
Because it's, I think while you're doing that, I'm going to just look at the settings as well, if you're okay with that, Brenda.
Yeah, go ahead. So I'm just looking right now. I just did a search for keywords, endorse skills, turn off. I'm going to look under endorse someone's skills. That answer is not really. And the thing with LinkedIn help is it's self-serve and it's not really great.
I know. And I'm also noticing that in the back end settings, they're changing all the time. They're adding more, they're removing, and it's just like this big soup.
I just went to someone else who I could try to endorse, and the endorse pops up on there.
So Sandra, I just found the help. I'm going to drop the link inside the chat. It gives you instructions on where to go. It looks like on your profile, it may have been turned off. So could you try to do that? And then we'll come back to you a little bit later in the call. Would that be okay?
Okay, certainly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So first question right out the gate there, and then you can see how the process works here too, how we bring people up on screen. We answer your questions live and we do a little bit of troubleshooting on here. All right. Eileen Werner, I see you have a success story. Eileen, would you like to come off mute? I'm going to try to find you. Or if Christopher can, we'll bring you up on screen. Oh,
yes.
Thank you, Christopher. What's your success story?
I applied for this company in September. I'd actually kind of given up applying for jobs and I decided to put my energy into my consulting. So I had a couple consulting contracts and then lo and behold, they reached out at the end of October and I went through several interviews through November and then things kind of slowed down. They hired a head of HR. And anyway, I literally completed interview number 10 this morning and it was with the CEO and that's the final interview. So I'm waiting for feedback from the CHRO to see if I pass go. So that will be exciting. So it's a neat startup.
Awesome. We're so happy. And Eileen, is there any advice you'd like to offer to other job seekers based on your experience getting to this point?
Patience. And don't put all your eggs in one basket because I've continued to interview because it's I had sometime in the summer, I had 3 really good prospects going. I was interviewing, and then in 1 week, all 3 fell apart. So it's just a terribly discouraging position. The other thing that helped, I think, this fall was because I was consulting, it boosted my self-confidence to know that I had a fallback, even though consulting is very up and down. But I went into this interview process with a lot more self-confidence. The other thing it's helped is I know the new CHRO. And so that's been a big help because we were interviewing at the same time.
Did you meet them through this process, or you knew them before you started interviewing?
No, I met him through an HR networking group.
Right.
So
we'll keep our fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
Eileen. And I want to ask our ALLSTARS any advice for Eileen at this phase. You know, she's been going through this process for a while. Seems like she's almost at that finish line for her job opportunity here. All right, Joey, I see you have your hand raised. What advice do you have for Eileen?
Well, it's not so much for Eileen because she's doing exactly what we're all supposed to be doing when we're looking for work, and that is to think of the other person and not yourself. So when you go into this job search as a consultant, somebody sharing your information, sharing your expertise, you're in a different head and you're in a different frame of mind, as opposed to a job seeker who's groveling for a job. Not that anybody here is called grovel, but there's a difference between groveling and sharing expertise. And when you share expertise, all of a sudden you're the expert. Your confidence rises. I mean, this is Eileen's story, not mine, right? But everybody who's listening, pay attention to what Eileen said. And if you have to go back to the recording, listen to it again. Stop thinking of yourself as a job seeker. Think of yourself as a salesperson / consultant, and you'll be Eileen. You'll be Eileen next week or the week after that. So good job, Eileen.
Thanks.
Mindy.
Yeah, so congratulations, Eileen. It's what everyone is hoping for, right? To get it to hopefully the last step of this. And it's been a long process for you. So I appreciate everything you've been through.
Yeah.
And I hear that so often. It's just taking a really long time. The one piece of advice I would give to everyone is keep those lines of communication open, because even if there is a gap, and it sounds like, Eileen, you had that big gap when it kind of got silent, keep thinking of things to send to people that you've interviewed with, articles that they might find of interest, other articles, newsletters, things that you think might be interesting to those people. So you stay top of mind, because there's going to be a lot of people that they're interviewing. Whatever you can do to differentiate yourself, that will make you stand out. So congrats, and let us know how it goes.
Thank you. That actually is great advice, because one of the sticking points has been, although I've background in compensation benefits, I've never worked with equity plans and stock plans, and those are a big deal in startups. And so I've been doing a lot of self-education, and I was able to share that with the CHRO. And then I found some certification programs. So one colleague I'd already put together a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And ChatGPT was very helpful, although I edited it myself and I incorporated things that I heard in the interviews. A colleague had recommended that I put together a 1-page summary with 3 columns for each of the first 3 months, top bullets of what I would accomplish in those 3. And then at the bottom, I put sort of an equity stock plan, education plan, whatever you want to call it. Here's what I've done thus far. And for the next 3 months, here's what I'll do each month in terms of going through these classes. And I was able to list them, the price, their self-study modules, but just to be able to demonstrate that I'm committed to develop an expertise in this. So
exactly right.
That was very helpful. And I send thank you letters. I'm waiting for the email for the CEO from the recruiter so I can send her a thank you letter, but I always send a thank you email. And again, ChatGPT is enormously helpful for both cover letters and thank yous. I always draft mine, so it's got my voice and my thoughts, but then I run it through ChatGPT and just ask it to professionalize it, express the enthusiasm. And I'm always impressed with what comes back. I still modify it, make sure it's my voice, but I like the way it phrases things differently. I get stuck in a rut.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage, if there's others in the group that are using any sort of AI or ChatGPT tools, I use Gemini myself, and I know there's Claude and there's a bunch of others. Go into chat right now and share with us like what tools you're using for content creation, content generation, which of these AI tools you're using. And I love how you said, Eileen, you're using it. It's always a little bit better, and then you tweak it. I'm helping one of my son's friends right now with some different things, and sometimes I'll get like he's 18 and I'll get a cryptic note from him on text, and other times I get a really nicely written. And he's confessed to me as an 18-year-old, he puts things into Chat GPT sometime to make it sound better for adults, for grown-ups when he's reading up. So at all levels and all ages, I love these tools because they're helping us to polish things out, but we still need to go in and make sure that they fit our voice. I think that's an important distinction there. All right, so I saw two more questions. We're going to keep this moving along here. I do have a hard stop at 11 a.m. today, so I want to keep us moving here. We're going to go with Joan next. And Joan, you said question, but I don't believe I saw what your question was. So are you able to
Sorry, I haven't been
unmute?
here in a while, so I forgot to put it in bold, but I'll make
Oh,
it
you're fine. You're fine.
very quick. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can. What's
Okay,
your
great.
question, Joan?
So the questions is, I've noticed, and I want the feedback from any coaches or anybody lately, these so-called scammers and slicksters, what they're doing instead of just messaging you like in a post, they're commenting. Like, let's say you post something, they're doing a comment saying, "Hey, I'm Jane. I have an opportunity for you. Let me here's my email." I wondered if anybody's seen an increase in that in the comments. Then the second question is a LinkedIn one. Maybe Kenneth and the other LinkedIn experts, if you have noticed that when you report it, do you know if LinkedIn really does anything about it? So those are my two quick questions.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask the All-Stars, raise your hand if you have any feedback for Joan. And Joan, what you're referring to here is they're commenting on your LinkedIn posts. Is that correct?
Not just mine, but others. I saw some very well-known
Right.
career
But
coaches.
in LinkedIn, not Facebook or Instagram or some
Correct.
other
This is
place. Okay.
LinkedIn. Yeah, they're
And then
commenting
is it a
within people's
person?
posts, not just
Is it a
mine, but
person or is
others.
it a company?
I'm sorry?
Is when the comments are coming to you, is it from a person or is it from a company?
It's from a person. These are
Okay.
individual person comments. They're coming not to me, but they're commenting in not just my post, but other people's posts as well.
Yep.
And
I hear
they're
what you're saying.
directing it to, oh, I don't know if because they see the green banner and they're just taking advantage or what.
Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly demonstrate there's a way that you can block these people. So if you think that they are scammers or spammers or whatever, there's a way that you can block these people from your LinkedIn post. But I would also report them to LinkedIn first and then block them. Reporting is like weeding the garden. If we don't pull the weeds and let LinkedIn know this person's a scammer, even if you block them, they're going to continue to this activity to other people. So let me just click on my latest post, 5 comments now. I get one, it's a company page, and that's why I was asking, is it a company page or is it a profile? I'm pretty sure this is not a real company and there's no employees attached to it. It's a blank page. Within minutes of every time I post, they're always putting something in here, and I'm pretty sure it's AI generated. Now, I can still report this company page to LinkedIn and let them know I think it's spam. I honestly never get a response back from LinkedIn. LinkedIn helps ignores it. But for a person, and Avavit is a real person, I wouldn't do this to her, but you can report the person, report that post, rather to the comment to LinkedIn. So let them know it's spam, and then you can block the person. Now, when you block the person, they can no longer see you, you can no longer see them, which prevents them from commenting on future posts of yours. So it's a way of just kind of wiping those irritating bugs away from you so that they're not coming into your feed. I see that we have some all-stars who have their hands raised, so I'm going to bring them up here and I'll ask them to share their advice as well. Go ahead, Joey.
I'll go quick. Run, Joan. Just go with your gut. They're probably scams. They're probably spam. Just walk away.
Oops. All right, let's move on to
Okay.
Diana. Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, I echo what Joey just said, and I also think there's a couple things you can do. One is look at their profile, look to see what their profile looks like. Does it look legitimate? Now, that being said, there are some people who are scraping pictures off the internet to put those on, and they are saying that they went to Harvard and then Yale and that type of a thing, and they only have about 5 connections. What they can't fake is the number of connections, and then they're usually from some far-flung place like Mauritania or someplace over in the South Pacific or someplace in Africa or something like that. Those are, and the other thing you can check, and this is from all of us who've been through these corporate cybersecurity courses we have to take with a company, is that they'll reach out to you in a legitimate way through email or through a legitimate in-mail, and you will see a legitimate company domain and .com. So that's what you need to be looking for, is legitimate company domains and things like that. Usually, if it's a legitimate recruiter, they'll reach out to you maybe through email. That will show up, the direct mail will show up in your email box, and you'll see, and they'll have all of their contact information in the signature. So that's something to look for as well. But I agree, yeah, report and then block. There seems to be a rash of that going on, but you kind of have to weed through it, because maybe somebody could be legitimate, but those are good things to look for.
Thank you, Diana. Mindy.
So, Joan, we all have spammers in our feeds. I suggest do not waste energy on it. Don't be thinking about it. Don't be worrying about it. If it feels like a scam or a spam, it is. Just report and block and move on. Okay. By the way, you can train your feed. I've been working on this very diligently. When you see an ad pop up, you can block those ads and I never see them again. And so I'm training it so that if I see something political or something, I just block it. And then it just trains the algorithm. She doesn't want to see that stuff. And when I see something I do like, I respond to it, I comment on it. So don't waste energy. Don't be looking, is it real? If it feels wrong, it's wrong. If they have 2 followers, it's probably wrong. And just move on. Our energy is too precious for us to waste energy on being angry about people who are spamming. They put a bot out there. They're just doing their job. They're trying to get some people to sign up for something. I get almost daily, we would like to come and clean your office. And also, would you like to open what was the last store? I don't know, a tobacco store. No, block. That's it. It's fine. Just move on. You got a lot of things to look at.
Thank you, Mindy. Linda.
Agreed. So here's the only thing that I want to add that's in addition, is that the blocking is really important. The ignoring is important. Listening to your gut is important. If you're checking out somebody's profile and they don't have their contact information in there, and you already checked out the profile and it looks a little suspicious, run away, block, and go. One of the other things that I'm hearing from a lot of my job seekers is that while the green banner is really good, putting up that hashtag open to work may invite more spammers into your feed and into your messages. So you can put up the green to work banner, talk about it, but remove from that post that was out there that open to work hashtag. See if that helps.
Thank you, Linda. Belle, I see your hand is raised. Did you have something to add to this or a different question?
No, I have something to add. Something I'd read about a while ago, which makes a lot of sense to me. The photo that you have of yourself in your profile, they suggest that you have it a little bit to the side. And that's what I've done. Actually, Kevin also has his to the side where he's looking up because they can, just like copy it out and put it into a passport or some other kind of ID. But they won't do it with a picture that's where you're looking to the side because, it has to be completely front face.
I hear what you're saying there, Belle, and I'll just offer a counterpoint to that,
Sure.
which is we as human beings, we like to make eye contact with people, and they've even done studies on babies where they'd rather look at a picture of a person where they can see their eyes than inanimate objects or things like that. So when you're looking off camera, I hear what you're saying from a security standpoint, but it looks like you're not making eye contact with me, so I feel like it's a disconnect on there. So I think what you had is a really valid point. So I think you got to weigh security risk versus personal preference on making that connection with a person. But thank you for adding that in there.
Well, I was also thinking of a watermark, but that wouldn't look very nice to have a watermark across your face, no matter how light it is. So
yeah,
I actually just did it the other way.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Belle.
But I understand you.
Joan, was that helpful for you? Oh, you're muted, but
Yes,
I think we're
yes,
good there.
thank you very
Okay.
much. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Good to see you, Joan. Thanks for being on the call. Okay, Drew, I saw that you had a question for us about, I think it was about adding an end date. And Christopher, if you can find Drew before I can, or I'll try to find him first, we'll bring him on here. All right, Drew, what was your question?
So thank you. And it's great to be on a call where a lot of folks that I follow and take a lot of great advice from. It's great to be on the call with you guys. So coming up on 8 weeks, of when I was let go. And I've heard a lot of different comments from a lot of different folks in terms of, do you put the end date on? When do you put the end date on for that last job? So just want to get some thoughts and feedback from the experts that are on the call today. What's the thought?
Calling all stars. Raise your hand if you'd like to add to the conversation here. Drew's question is, how soon after I have begun my career transition journey? Did you notice how I just changed that too? Instead of like let go from the job, began my career transition journey. Do I need to add in, right? Add in a start or an end date to it. I'm going to start by saying a reminder for all of you who are in career transition. If you don't have a current employer in your experience section, you will be penalized in search results. So I don't recommend that you add an end date to your last employer until you have something else in there. It can be not a paid experience, but it might be a member of a professional organization, or maybe you serve on a board, or you do some volunteer work with a nonprofit or something else. We want to put something else in there. Sometimes people will create a consulting company as a just a placeholder. I don't want to say fake business. LinkedIn is a marketing tool, but as a placeholder to demonstrate how you're staying active, that you're taking on part-time project work while you're looking for your next full-time position as an XYZ. So that's a workaround with it. But I don't want to see you being penalized in search. That said, from a mental standpoint, sometimes we need to close that door by putting an end date and moving on. If you're okay with keeping it on, I would keep it on, put it in the past tense. And I would say if it's been 6 months to a year and you're still looking, that's the point in time that I would probably put an end date. But I want to hear from the other experts and see what you all have to offer. So Mindy, what would you say? Oh, Mindy, you're muted. Give me a second here, and I'll pull Linda up here too.
Is that better?
There you go. Yep.
So Drew, we need to build trust really quickly with future employers, right? And if your resume is saying you ended on a certain date and your LinkedIn profile is saying that you're still working, that's a break of trust. So at 8 weeks, sometimes people keep it open because they're still getting this severance or whatever, they can explain it. But if there's no reason to keep it open, I would close it and do exactly what Brenda was just mentioning. Put in a volunteer role, get a volunteer job that is aligned with your role. Open a consulting company. You can do that so easily on LinkedIn just by doing a company page. That's where you need to focus your energy. Close that door and move on to the next thing. Don't leave it just closed, but you have to have something after it. To leave it open to me is just breaking trust right away, and I don't recommend it.
Okay, thanks for that point of view, Mindy. Paul, what would you have to say?
Thanks, Brenda. And Drew, I'm going to maybe be a little more specific and personal to you because we know each other. And that is to say, Wednesday morning, bring this question up in the networking group that we have, because I think you can get some additional advice there. I like Mindy's comments. I like Brenda's comments. I want to always have something that shows presently employed in my LinkedIn. Always have something presently employed. So if you can find an option that's 2, 3, 4 months out from your last employment date, then put it in there. And the consulting option is a great one for most people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a board, and I've added the board.
Yes, use that.
I set up a consulting company page, created a logo. I haven't added it. So I was thinking of adding both and adding the end date to my last position. Again, and putting some wording in there that I am taking on work while I am looking for my next opportunity. So
yeah, perfect. Brenda, while I have the floor, I'm just going to real quick mention I'm putting a link in the chat to an AARP event that's coming up for older job seekers, and it's one of their webinars on how to find work when you're an older job seeker. I don't know the value of it. I've signed up to attend it myself, but if anybody else might be interested, the link is there and you can check it out yourself. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. I really wish everyone would pick up on my theme of calling it experience-rich job seekers, which just changes the focus from the age to the fact that we have all these great experiences. And I know it's a lofty goal to have to try to get the industry to adopt that phrasing, but one can hope at least. Linda, what do you have to add to the conversation here?
Okay, so from a hiring manager's standpoint, putting an end date on is important. Mindy was absolutely right on. Your resume and your LinkedIn profile, those end dates have to match. And I've had hiring managers who've refused to interview a candidate because they thought you were lying. So do be careful about that. The other thing is that I'm starting to see some companies, and I'm not a lot yet, but I'm seeing some companies that once you've lost your job there for whatever reason, whether it was a performance issue, whether it was a layoff, whether you chose to leave, who are starting to reach out or having somebody reach out to you if you've got it open for more than 2 to 3 months, still staying at the company and saying that's no longer true. Please put it in the end date, make it right. So do be careful about that. But I would like to see the end date on there. And Drew, you got that board experience, that volunteer experience is great. And using that phrase, while I am looking for my next opportunity, my next full-time opportunity, here's what I'm doing. And you can also, by the way, include in there the courses that you're taking to show that you're continuing to improve your skill set.
Great. Thank you so much, Linda. I hadn't thought about from the employer perspective of their lying because of the fact I work with so many job seekers. They're not trying to mislead people from their LinkedIn profile. A lot of times they just haven't gotten around to it yet. They just haven't updated their LinkedIn profile. They're not ready to update it on their LinkedIn profile. So that's why my recommendation is if you don't have volunteer or other things that you can put in here, put it in the past tense in your LinkedIn. And when you have that conversation with a recruiter, with a hiring manager, and they say, it looks like you're still there, you say, you can tell them this. I've heard that there's a penalty on LinkedIn for not having a current organization. I didn't want to reduce my chances for coming up for job opportunities. So I've chosen to not change it. I will put the end date once I've landed a new position. Now, all of that said, if it's 6 months or 1 year out from the time that you started your career transition, I think you do need to close it off because you don't want to look like you're still with the organization and a lot of time has passed along there. Sandra, do you have something to add to this or a different question?
Actually, I do have something to add. And it was your advice, Brenda, when I left my prior company that I took to put that placeholder of a volunteer position. And when I did that, that completely changed my energy, completely changed my outlook, my self-confidence, that there was something in there that I was involved in on a volunteer basis and adding value. Because it plays into our feelings of self-worth and self-perception that we're adding value, and that completely changes the approach, my approach when speaking with prospective employers, that I am still doing something and adding value in a professional sense. So thank you for this conversation. This is important.
All right, thank you, Sandra. All right, Drew, was that helpful for you today?
Extremely, thank you.
Thank you so much for asking the question, because I know if you had that question, there's probably somebody else in the group who has a similar question and maybe didn't want to vocalize it. So thank you so much for asking. Okay, I think we're going to do one final question here. We are getting close to time, and then we'll do some wrap up. Julie has a question related to consulting experience with own company. Christopher, if you're on and you can help me to find Julie, we'll bring her onto the spotlight if she's still here.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Hey, Julie, how are you?
I am well, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing good, thank you. So what's your question?
Excellent. So this kind of piggybacks off of Drew's question, and I think it's mostly been answered, but I've always been hesitant to put consulting down because I feel like a lot of people put that just as a placeholder, and so people might be suspect of that. I have actually done some things that I could say, fall into this, but I just wanted to see if anyone has any sort of negative connotation with that.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. So are you saying by putting a consulting company, you think people think that you're not really doing consulting?
Well, I just see it a lot when people have lost their job. And so I sometimes feel like, okay, they're just putting something there to have something current. And I don't know. I've always hesitated to do it because of that.
Okay, so I'm going to drop into the chat what I would put in there. And in terms of the description, because I want you to help match that. I'm going to ask Kenneth though, because I see he has his hand raised. Kenneth, what would you say to Julie's concern
Well,
about
I
that?
actually posted in the chat about this because it's a double-edged sword. If you say that you're working, companies or recruiters may say, well, you're working and you're not really looking for a job. Or if I get that job, am I going to keep that business going at the same time? So you have to be very clear on what you're looking to do. I understand the marketing aspect. I understand you want to put your own shingle out because you want to say you're working. I'm leaning more and more towards focusing more on the volunteer as opposed to the consultancy, because I think that's more understandable. If I put a shingle out there, what's the guarantee that I won't keep that shingle as a side hustle going? And again, I've heard that from recruiters who, again, look at a person's profile and wonder, is this person going to be someone that I want to hire if they're doing this on the side? So I'm more inclined to focus on volunteering or training or coursework or whatever it is, instead of, not that you shouldn't put it out there, but just realize what the ramifications are. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you so much, Kenneth. And I did just drop into the chat, Julie, what I would put into your description section for your consulting company. So we're leading with this statement because this helps to speak to hiring managers and recruiters and answering the question, is she really looking for work? Or is she really doing the side hustle? And is this side hustle, this consulting business, a legitimate operation or not? So the statement I would put in is, while I'm looking for my next full-time position as a job title, so in this case, I'm saying marketing director in area in Metro Detroit, I'm taking on part-time project and consulting work through Meller Marketing, the name of your company. Now, if somebody reaches out to you and questions that, are you really doing part-time work? Yes, I am. Friends are reaching out, asking me questions about social media, about marketing. I don't think they're going to try to corner you and say, are you getting paid? Show me your checks that you're getting. I don't think they're going to get to that point. But I would position this passive, and LinkedIn is a marketing tool. I want you to keep that in mind. It's not a legally binding document, it is a marketing tool. My goal is to help you use LinkedIn more effectively to support a successful job search. We're not trying to mislead people, but we're putting this consulting position in your profile to fill the gap, to help you to come up in more searches on LinkedIn, but then put that statement in there. While I'm looking for my next full-time position as a job title in geography, I'm taking on part-time project and consulting work, which by definition, that means short-term stuff. I'm just doing some stuff right now to keep some money coming in, to keep busy. And by the way, I'm in demand. People are reaching, I mean, that's what happened with me when I was in career transition. They would say, since you have some time, can you help run our social media for a couple months? Since you have some time, can you show me how to do LinkedIn? Since you have some time, for me, I started going, there's some demand out here. And I started going, maybe this side hustle can be a real full-fledged business. A couple months went by. I left my employer. I began my career transition, I should say, in August. I was job seeking September. October, I started getting some paid project work. November, it was ramping up. By December, it was there. January, I stopped looking for a job. And I remember the first week of January, this was in 2018, my husband was sending me job postings he was finding through Google Alerts, and he sent me one day. And I said, what's this? And he's like, it's a job for you to apply for. And I said, well, I'm doing work through Meller Marketing. He's like, well, that's just until you go back to work. And I said, yeah, about that. I'm not going back to work. I'm done. I'm starting this company. I'm leaning into it. And, for me, my side hustle turned into something, but it started honestly, Julie, with people reaching out to me saying, I have a question about LinkedIn. Can you help me? And then it started ramping up into part-time consulting work, which is exactly what I had in my LinkedIn section. When I was in interviews with recruiters and hiring managers, they're like, is this Meller Marketing your business? I'm like, well, I'm just doing this now until I find a job. Oh, okay, good. And then we'd move on from there. Does that help you, Julie?
Yes, it really does. Yeah, I was definitely concerned. Will people think I'm going to do that all the time, especially since I've done it, at prior times in my life in transition. So
yeah, awesome. Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being on and for asking that question. We're going to end with our job seeker mantra. I haven't done this in a little while, so give me just a second here. I think I can find it. I just want to make sure the screen's not going to rotate. So I got to put it back to the slide and then just keep it up on the screen here. So this is optional if you want to participate. We've done this before, but I'm going to have you raise your hand. It can be your right hand or your left hand. It's not legally binding, so I don't care which hand it is, but I want you to physically get involved with this. I also want you to unmute yourself right now, okay? And what we're going to do is I'm going to say the line, I'm going to point at you, and you're going to repeat it back to me. Okay, this is our job seeker mantra. The goal here is to get our brains in the right mindset, to be saying the positive things to support a successful job search. So if you'd like to participate, again, unmute yourself right now. You'll have the ability to unmute yourself. Just go to your little microphone and unmute yourself. Raise your right hand or your left hand. I don't care which one. If you're holding your coffee in one, the other one, it'll be fine. And I'm going to say the line, point at the screen, and you're going to repeat it back with me. All right, so here we go. This is the job seeker mantra. This is temporary.
This is temporary.
I am awesome.
I am awesome.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not believe that for a minute. I want you to say awesome again, and I want you to believe it when you say it. Okay, so I'm going to say it and point at you. You're going to repeat it back to me. I am awesome.
I am awesome.
Oh, I felt it. Now point to somebody on screen and say, and you are awesome.
And
You are awesome.
There we go. I am valuable.
I am valuable.
I will find another job.
I
will find another job.
I love the will emphasis for a few of you on there. That's great. The black hole isn't the only way.
The black hole isn't the only way.
Talk about that in a second. I am in control of my future.
I am in control of my future.
And using LinkedIn can help to give me power.
And using LinkedIn can help me build power.
A little sachet on the last part here. Plus, by attending today, I am a step ahead.
Plus, by attending today, I'm a step ahead.
All right, give yourself a round of applause on there. Thank you guys for participating. You guys and you ladies, I should say. Go ahead and mute yourself. I want to give a little bit of explanation on the mantra here as we wrap up our call. This is something I created during the pandemic. We were meeting weekly because there were so many people out of work back then. And it was something that I created because I was hearing a lot of the same things that people were saying. And one thing was they felt like this is going to be forever. It feels like it's never going to end. I want you to know this is temporary. This is just a blip in your timeline right now. Someday you're going to be back to work and you're going to remember these great Friday calls that you're on, but this is going to be in your rearview mirror. So I want you to know that and believe that. And I want you to know that you are awesome. You are valuable. They can't take that from you. They took your job from you. They took your paycheck away. They took your desk, your computer at work, but they can't take away all the knowledge that you've gained in your brain over the years about industry, about your job, about your expertise. They can't take away from you your passion for what you do and your why. They cannot take that. So you are awesome and you are valuable. I want you to know that. You will find another job. And if you catch yourself saying, I'm never going to find another job, because I've been there and I know sometimes you'll say it out loud or you'll think it in your head. I'm never going to find another job. You know what you just did? You just told your brain that you're never going to find another job. You need to stop yourself and you need to say like twice, I will find another job. I will find another job. You need to tell your brain what you are going to do, not what you are not going to do. Because if you tell yourself that you will find another job, you're going to start to be more open to possibilities, more open to when people are approaching you. You're going to start to see things that you weren't seeing from before, but you need to believe it and you need to embrace that mentality, right? Now, I often talk about the black hole of job search. If you hate the black hole of job search, go into chat right now and type in the word hate. This is one of the things I'm very passionate about, my hatred. The black hole of job search, you know what I'm talking about. You apply to job upon job upon job. You never hear back. You might get an automated response. And you feel like it's just this energy sucking, soul crushing thing, right? And you feel like you're at the mercy of the ATS and the job boards, and like you feel like you have no control over the process. And I want to let you know that's not the only way you should be doing this job search. You should be taking control of your job search, connecting with people at your targeted companies, following their page, reaching out to fellow job seekers, helping each other out, paying it forward where you can. You can take control of where you are today and where you go in your future, you can't control what happened to you. Employers are going to make changes all the time. You can't control that, right? But you can control what you do today and your mindset as you move forward. And I want you to remember that. Using LinkedIn can help to give you some of that power and control back. And it's a really great tool to support your job search. And attending today is going to give you a step ahead because we've had such a great experience with all the folks on the call here today. Hopefully you have made new connections. You've gained some new insights that are going to help you in your job search. And you're leaving with, having smiled, right? That was one of my goals at the beginning of the call. I see John smiling as I'm saying that. So as we are wrapping up here today, I want to remind you that you can download the chat. Go into the chat. It's either at the bottom or the top of your chat. You should see 3 dots and click on Save Chat. Now, I don't email it out, so if anyone is watching this on an iPhone or an iPad and you can't get the chat, go into the chat and just say, can someone send me the chat? Someone will do it for you. I've got another call right after here, so I'm not going to be able to, but someone on the call will help you out. Or maybe someone could post the chat in the group if you have the time to do so. Okay. You should look through the chat and connect with fellow job seekers and make sure that you are helping each other out, referring opportunities back and forth. And if there's any questions that you see were asked and we didn't get to your questions, if someone has a response, I want you to reach out to those individuals as well. Again, thank you so much for attending. This is a call we do on the first Friday every month from 10 to 11 a.m. I want to thank our All-Stars for helping out so much. Thank you, Christopher Johnson, for being my second and helping out with the technology as we go throughout. I want you all to have a wonderful weekend. And if you do come across any job seekers in the next month who are in career transition, make sure that if you see them posting about what they're looking for in terms of their job, just go into the comments and tag me in. Just say at Brenda Meller may have some resources that can help. That's your way of winking to me, and I'll wink back, and I'll go into the chat and I'll invite them to our Friday Job Seeker Office Hours event. Sound good? All right, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing you all on LinkedIn. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hasta la vista.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Arrivederci.
Bye,
Thanks, everyone.
Adios. Auf Wiedersehen.